Hello, welcome to Motivation Station's Read Aloud. I'm Mrs. Campbell and I'm excited to be here with you today. Today we're going to talk about fairy tales. Fairy tales are basically a magical story. Sometimes there's a castle, a king, a queen, a princess. There's typically a hero and an evil character in a fairy tale. The characters sometimes have unusual names. There's often talking animals in a fairy tale, and there's a lesson to be learned in a fairy tale. The setting is made up. It's not a real place. It's just made up in someone's brain. And it takes place in a faraway place, far, far away. It often opens with long ago, or once upon a time, and it usually ends with the end or happily ever after. The king and queen lived happily ever after. There's always a happy ending to a fairy tale. It's magical. It's made believe. If you've ever watched Disney movies, most of them are fairy tales. They're just made up. For example, Cinderella, perfect example of a fairy tale. What else? Can you think of any? Lots of the Disney movies definitely have components of fairy tales or magical. Think of Frozen, right? What else do we have? Bambi. And they usually have, like, The Lion King. There was Scar was the evil character, and Simba was the hero. All right. So the story that I'm going to share with you today is called Who's Been Eating My Porridge? And this story involves lots of characters from other fairy tales. And you'll see who they are as we read along. Are you ready? Who's Been Eating My Porridge by Nick Ward. And in this story, it's important to stop here and pay close attention. The author is sure to include envelopes addressed to different people. This one's addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Bear and Little Bear, to Jack and the Beanstalk. This one is to Little Miss Muffet. This one's to Little Red Riding Hood. And this one is to Little Billy Goat Gruff. I wonder if any of them are going to be characters in this story. What are your thoughts? Who's Been Eating My Porridge by Nick Ward. Early one morning, Little Bear woke up with a rumble in his tummy. He crept downstairs as quietly as he could, but when he got to the kitchen, the porridge pot was nowhere to be seen. That's strange, said Little Bear. Mama always leaves it ready for breakfast. Just then, there was a knock at the door. Knock, knock. Little Bear lifted the latch, and there stood Little Billy Goat Gruff. Quick, let's run, bleated Billy. It can't have gone far. What do you mean? Asked Little Bear. The Porridge Monster, cried Billy. Look! And he pointed to huge porridgey footsteps leading out of the door. It's taken our porridge pot too, explained Billy. Come on! So Little Bear and Billy set off to find their porridge. They hadn't gone far when they met Little Miss Muffet. Have you seen our porridge? Asked the two friends. The Porridge Monster took it. No, but you can share my curds and whey, said Little Miss Muffet. Little Bear's tummy rumbled. Yes, please, he said, just as kerplop! A big hairy spider jumped into Little Miss Muffet's bowl. Eek! Cried everyone, and away they ran over the hills and down the lane. Yummy breakfast, said the spider. They ran down the lane until they came to Jack's house. Have you seen our porridge? Asked Little Bear and Billy. The big hairy porridge monster took it. No, but you can have some beans, said Jack. Little Bear's tummy rumbled. Well, he began, when thump, 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 an enormous boot appeared at the top of the beanstalk. It's the giant, yelled Jack. Run! And Little Bear and Billy and Little Miss Muffet and Jack ran and ran through the field and up to the forest where they met Little Red Riding Hood. Have you seen our porridge? Panted Bear and Billy. The giant hairy porridge monster took it. No, said Little Red Riding Hood, but you can have some jam. Look at the giant. He said, where did everyone go? Remember when we talked about speech bubbles? Here's one. Little Bear's tummy rumbled. Yummy, he said, but then, yow! A terrible howling came from deep within the forest. It's the big bad wolf, cried Little Red Riding Hood. Run! And off they all ran, through the forest and down to the stream, straight into the three bears, who were coming home from holiday. Have you seen our porridge? Gasped Little Bear and Billy. The giant, hairy, howling porridge monster took it. It was only me. No, but you are welcome to join us for breakfast, dears, said Mother Bear. Little Bear's tummy rumbled. Thanks, he said, when suddenly... Look, cried Billy, the footsteps! The footsteps are back! Said Father Bear. They seem to be leading to my house. Little Bear shivered. It must be the Porridge Monster, the giant, hairy, howling, hungry Porridge Monster, and it's going to eat us for breakfast. Everyone held their breath as Mother Bear reached for the door. Slowly, she turned the handle. Come on out, whoever you are, she cried, and she flung open the door to find Goldilocks and pots and pans of steaming, sticky porridge. Hooray, you got the invitations! Yummy, everyone cried. It's a porridge party! And monster portions of porridge were eaten until no one could eat any more. Breakfast at last. And remember, we opened by seeing the envelopes. Well, they were actually invitations, and it says, Dear Little Bear, please come to an amazing porridge party to welcome home the three bears. P.S. I borrowed your porridge pot. And then, Dear Little Miss Muffet, please come to an amazing porridge party to welcome home the three bears. P.S. I borrowed some bowls. And this one's to Jack, Dear Jack. This one says, Dear Little Red Riding Hood, please come to an amazing porridge party to welcome home the three bears. P.S. I borrowed your porridge spoon. Love, Goldilocks. Dear Little Billy Goat Gruff, please come to an amazing porridge party to welcome home the three bears. P.S. I borrowed your porridge pot. Love, Goldilocks. So they wouldn't have thought there was a big giant monster. If they had opened their invitations, they would have known. And she even said that she had borrowed those things. So I hope you enjoyed the story. Until the next time that we get together, please enjoy your day.